guys, this is Land Anime. Today we are talking about Ime Soku ni Iru Boku. And this is an anime by pal Rusty, who I work with. He recommended it for me, and we watched all 13 episodes to completion. If you want to introduce yourself, Rusty, how you doing?
Hey, man. Glad to be here.
Glad to be here? Yeah? Well, did you enjoy the rewatch?
Oh, man. Every time I get to watch that show, it's always a good time.
You can't ever go wrong, can you?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're just going to go part by part, just talking about the anime. Like I said, we just watched it. And now, what's the English name?
It's Now and Then, Here and There.
Now and Then, Here and There. This show blew my fucking mind, man. This show was so much fun. I did not expect that to happen.
I mean, the show's it's that formula of the cute characters meet horrible fates.
This show is fucked. It is horrible, like you said. Now, like I said, this show is not what you expect. And let's make a comparison to you recommending it to me. I did not expect what happened in the show at all. I did not at all.
I just told you it was dark, and
it's very dark. Okay, so let's just go episode by episode. Episode 1. So this is when Shu is the main character, right? Shu, he basically is the Naruto. He is the above average, let's attack for it. He's the over what would you say?
Yeah, we're introduced to this kid named Shu. He's the eternal optimist. He's the one guy
overly optimistic, I guess is what I was thinking.
Yeah, and he's, no matter how bleak things get, he's going to be the Naruto. He's going to say everything is going to be fine. Everything will work out as long as we keep doing good and being good. We're gonna get good things in return.
Yes, and upon that, that actually ends up being a very crucial point for Shu. But he ends up. So, what was the name of the guy that he fights in the kendo? Because he's in the kendo club in high school, and he fights this guy and he loses. But that never matters because he fights the guy and he wants to impress this girl, which, like I said, never matters. But just you're the experienced guy on this.
Well,
you're the one who showed me, so you know. Like what's
he fights a kid, named Oda. And
yes.
You see him, gearing himself up for this big kendo match so he can impress the girl, TM. And he gives it his all, but he gets his ass kicked, and the show progresses from there,
Yeah, and then right after we get the vibe that this dude is just the ultimate, shonen protagonist, oh my god, I'm optimistic, let's go for it. He climbs up a tower to find a girl. And this is all you, Russell. This is all you.
Well,
Rusty, I'm telling you, man, this is one of the best scenes of the show. Episode 1. Go for it.
Yeah, because Shu, he's he gets his ass beat. He, next scene you see him, he shakes it off like nothing's ever happened. He's whistling Dixie, going down to wherever he's going, and on his way home, I presume he comes across a smokestack. He used to crawl up as a kid, and he sees a person, at the very top of one. So,
and he wants to be at the top. It's very symbolic about that. He wants to be at the top. Well, here's what he does to do it.
Yeah,
now, this is where we meet Lalaru.
Oh, yes, Lalaru.
Very important.
Yes, she's always the life of the party. She's always, the person who has most of the, she's, you have to shut her up because she talks so much. So.
Well, as they will learn later in the podcast, that is fucking opposite of the truth.
Yes, well.
So, now, later in episode 1, they talk about, they basically talk about the guess they don't talk about it. They basically explain that this is like a portal. What is it? What is it after Shu meets Lalaurie on the top of that water tower? What takes them? Like, explain that, because you probably understand that better than I do.
Well, the science in this show is basically just plot devices like any other anime.
Yeah,
it's sci-fi. It's very sci-fi. So, while Shu is trying to strike up a conversation with Lalaurie, who seems content with watching the sunset, their peaceful discussion gets interrupted by the arrival of a very busty individual, Abelia.
Well, do you even want to call it a conversation? Like, because Shu is just like, what is your name? What is your name? What do you like to do?
It was a one-way conversation.
It was a very one-way conversation, but he read her lips.
He did find her name out, yes. After reading her lips, he found out her name was Lalaurie.
Lalaurie. And then immediately sucked into this fucking black hole.
Basically, they get interrupted by Abelia, who is you can see her. She's pretty, hardcore. You can see that she's about business. She says she finally found the one, and from there chaos ensues. And
and that's basically most of that episode. So this girl, Lalaurie, is very important. She's very important in the show, but the first episode does not make this clear. But what just happened with Shu, I guess for me at least at first, Shu was not important. I was like, oh my god, okay, this show's going to be annoying as hell. No. Like, just wait until we talk later. We'll leave that until later. Like, this is a lecture. It'll be more important later. Let's talk about that. Him and Lalaurie getting sucked into this portal is way more. It's the story. Like, this is the story. So then episode 2 comes up.
Right. So the episode picks up where Shu is whisked away and with Lalaurie to this unknown world. This all happens in the very first episode. Lalaurie asks for Shu's help as she is being taken away from the smoke deck that Shu met her on. And Shu, being the good guy that he is, says, okay, someone needs my help. I will cross any river, and, kick down any door to save this person who's asking for my help. I don't know who this person is. I didn't know who she was 5 minutes ago, but he
absolutely jumps in.
I want to help her.
Yes. Like, literally his only motivation in this show is not his only motivation, but it's just he does jump in. You're right. He he jumps in. That's what happens.
Yep. And so he's running around with Lalaurie in tow, and they get separated. Shu falls to what we presume is his death, but it's very short-lived. It's you see that he's kind of falls down, Empire Strikes Back style to this pool chute in this tower that he's hanging from. You see the very end of the episode of episode 1. You see that it sets the tone very well. You see the music swell up, and you see just the strong, visuals of this huge sun that he's looking at. The sun, this is just like
that kind of becomes symbolism later with Lalaurie, but she doesn't like it. Yeah. Like, she kind of admits that, but it's kind of weird at the same time.
She likes the sun.
You can explain that better than me, but she did say that.
To jump ahead, we know she does like sunsets, but she doesn't like sunrises. That's
yeah. And then in episode 2, now fucking Shu is like running away. He's like in the abyss, and this shit starts happening. Now, what did you think about like the rest of episode 2.
Well,
Because, like, not as much happens, but it still explains, like, a lot.
well, in episode 2, we see Shu basically, he meets the main antagonist, Hamdo. And we're introduced to all these characters in the intro. It's very straightforward. The intro kind of, shows you all the big players of the story.
Yeah, and what we did not explain was, like, at this point, Lallaroo lost the pendant, and Shu had the pendant, and when he met, what's his name? Hamdo. He obviously wants that. Like, we'll get into that later.
Yeah,
but he had that and lost it, and that becomes a very fucking big thing for at least 7 episodes.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
So, Shu, in his attempt to save Lallaroo before he falls down, Emperor Strikes Back style, he grabs the pendant and they fall down, and everyone presumes Shu is dead. All the soldiers there, which are child soldiers. It's a pretty big point. We glazed over that, but
it's not glazed over. But the more important part is about the fight later about Nabucco.
Oh yeah. And in Shu's rescue attempt, he after he recovers from the fall, he looks for Lallaroo, and in doing so, he runs into a few child soldiers, and they get into a big tussle, and in that tussle, the pendant that Shu grabbed on his way down from Lallaroo's neck gets lost in the fight.
Yeah.
And Shu basically gets Shu.
He's reinforced, or he's just in there now. He's caught.
Yeah, basically, you see
he's a part of he's a part of the task force that this show has made clear, which we will talk about later.
Yeah, Shu in his attempt to save Lallaroo, he runs into the child soldiers, and he gets into a fight with one of them by the name of Nabucco. And Nabucco turns out to be a pretty big player in the story. Nabucco and Shu, they tussle.
Yes.
And in tussling, they a lot of big things happen. Nabucco almost falls to his death, and Shu, being the good guy that he is.
Now, make it very clear real quick before you finish that statement, Nabucco is a very important character when it comes to the revolution of this show.
Oh, yeah.
So, continue what you're saying.
Yeah. So,
just don't think Nabucco is a fuckface that this main character is about to kill. No, that's not it.
Yeah. So, Nabucco, he in falling to his death, he's hanging from a guardrail, over a molten pot of we don't know
what the fuck is it? I don't know.
Right, but we do see that Shu takes it upon himself to save him, despite having Nabucco drawn a knife on him moments earlier. This goes to show you that I don't know if Shu doesn't have a sense of self-preservation, but he's just a good guy. He has strong morals. So, he saves Nabucco. And in saving Nabucco, he leaves himself vulnerable to attack from Nabucco's buddy. I believe his name is Tabul.
And, it is Tabul. Yep.
Yeah, and Shu gets captured, and he then is brought over to the main antagonist, Hamdo.
Oh, this is where we enter Hamdo. We have so much to go over about Hamdo.
Oh, yes.
Before we start this, I want to just talk about first. So, this anime has very, very poor, in some episodes, and not some more than others, there's very many budget issues. Like when they were going on their first mission to recruit more kids for the army, and they just panned on, was it Nabucco?
Nabucco.
Yeah, they panned on Nabucco for 5 fucking not even 5, like it was like 12 seconds straight. There is some production issues in this anime, but the rest of the episodes that we're going to talk about make up for all of that, because this anime isn't perfect. It was made by AIC in 1999,
right?
And it's not perfect, but the panning shots, the shitty backgrounds are very few in between. Trust me. Everything else in this anime looks beautiful, and it makes up for it.
And what they like to do with those panning shots, actually, or those still frames, is that they'll
up on the drama, like it
really
makes it.
I mean, if you really want to kind of overlook that stuff, you can just try and suck yourself in and say, well, they're doing it for drama's sake, because there are some scenes that go a little long, and you can say, well, they could have shortened that a few seconds. But they try to do it to try and put emphasis and on the shit that you just saw.
Exactly. Yeah, and then so was that basically the conclusion of episode 2? Because the next one is when Shu wakes up and finds Sarah.
Well, what happens basically is in episode 2, before we close that on,
close it
Shu meets Hamdo. Hamdo is
he's in the room with Lalaru. Was that episode?
Well, I'm sure that Hamdo meets Lalaru. I mean, Hamdo and Lalaru have seen that episode. I don't actually remember, but
what was Hamdo doing? Because I don't remember this part.
Well, when we see Hamdo, we see a dead cat. Hamdo is I guess a notorious killer.
No, I remember that. No,
yes.
Now I know what you're talking about. This scene is fucked.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So, go ahead and talk about the dead animals.
Right. So, in episode 1, we were first introduced to Hamdo via his voice, and you hear a cat in the background. You hear Hamdo start to lose his cool, and you hear the cat whine in pain.
Yes.
And then you hear a snap, and you can fill in the blank. You see in episode 2 what's become of that cat, and it's not good. The cat's dead. There's the doorknob.
It's dead. Yeah. No. So there's more than one dead by the end of this scene. They're fucking dead.
Yeah. So Shu meets Hamdo, but he first meets Hamdo's cat. Hamdo tells him, "Hey, I am the leader of Hollywood, and to save us so much trouble."
Just go ahead and explain Hollywood.
Well,
I guess we can go with that as with the plot, I guess.
Hamdo, conveniently, like any supervillain, explains everything that's going on with Hollywood in the first 5 minutes. It's comical. He basically explains, and you get the impression that he is insane. He
gets the impression. Well, we'll fucking find out.
Well, he highlights his vulnerabilities. He goes back in a little backstory of Hollywood and explains that they are in desperate need of Lalaru and her pendant and the water that it brings. And well, you just get the sense that,
Yeah, let's just make it clear.
Yeah.
Back when Shu left with Lalaru, her character design is dog shit. But let me make it very clear. She is probably the most important character other than Shu. Because it not to spoil it yet, but that comes up way later. But Lalaru, her fucking pendant, basically is
a giant reservoir of water.
It's just a giant reservoir of water. But when she uses it, it takes away her life form. It takes away her life in general. So every time she uses this pendant, she has trouble living, but she keeps it not caring, which again, it's a problem about this anime. No one cares about Lalaru. At least I don't. It's a problem.
Shu does.
Shu does, but no one. She doesn't talk enough to make us care. But also, Hollywood needs her for the total reservoir, right? Like they need her for water in general.
Yeah,
but also that's going to kill her. So no one wins.
It's clear that Hamdo has plans for Lalaru. That's the whole reason why.
And we will get way more into that. I'm just saying, like, fuck, like.
Yeah. So
the entire idea is nuts, and it gets so much more fucked later. So let's just keep it going. Like, okay, so. After that...
Well, actually, before we skip to that, basically when Shu meets Hamdo batters Shu.
Yes.
With great prejudice. Well, you see
the hanging scene.
You don't get to that point just yet, but basically we're greeted with a scene of a 12-year-old boy sitting on a chair telling a man that answering a man's question about a pendant, and in the fight with Nabucco, Shu loses the pendant, and Hamdo asks Shu where the pendant is.
Yeah.
Shu says he lost it, and Hamdo can't accept that. So instead of just letting Shu go, we're greeted with a scene of a grown man beating the life out of a 12-year-old boy.
Yeah. Was it like literally whipping?
It was a slapping, like open-handed slapping across the face, just backhanded, forward-handed, and just for sustained about 5-6 seconds, and then after Shu gets knocked onto the ground, more abuse comes his way, and that's just
that's
So
that's episode.
God. And that basically
it's just fucked. It gets that fucked that quick.
And basically leads to Shu. Just Shu's. You're gonna hear Shu say this several times. He's gonna wonder where the hell he is.
Yes. Because after that teleportation in episode 1, when he meets fucking Lalaru, we don't know. But by episode 6, like I said, which we'll get to, it doesn't matter. Because the show is so good at that point.
Oh, yeah.
We'll get there. Okay, so after that, we get to the point where he's locked up. Shu is locked up.
Mm-hmm.
And he's with Sarah.
Right.
Who we learned later, it was Sarah, what was her last name?
Ringwald,
yes. Okay. So what did you think about that scene?
Well, originally Shu has just been tortured, and he gets drugged into this jail cell, and he sees a girl there.
Well, he's kind of weirded out at first, right? Because he thinks that Lalaru is her. Right. Because they changed the color setting of the background in the animation to make you think that it is Lalaru.
Briefly, yeah.
Briefly, but it's not. It's Sarah.
Right.
Who's very important later, might I add.
Right.
Yeah.
So Shu, he's delirious from the torture that he was put through, and he sees this girl. He thinks it's Lalaru, and basically we just see that's a girl that he was looking her all over this big massive tower battle station for, and as soon as he finds, as soon as he thinks he finds her, he's yelling her name back over and over, Lalaru, Lalaru.
Yeah, well, he does that very much throughout the entire series, Lalaru, because one thing I want to add on is that people will bitch about this anime that Shu has no motivation. But no, his motivation is that he's a 12-year-old who is just like, fuck you, I'm going to do what I want.
Yeah.
So the second he comes into this world, it just immediately makes sense.
So
I don't even care to question his fucking, the occasion that he goes for Lalaru, I don't blame him. I love it. The rest of the short, whatever else happens after is great. So Shu goes for her, and then they drag him out. Is this where they whip him?
Well,
Or
Yeah, basically.
they hang his ass and they.
Oh,
whip
yeah,
him.
he gets all kinds of torture, but when he goes over to Sarah knocks him out because she's freaked out because he just has this weird boy who just keeps calling her some other name and is just wondering who the hell she is.
True, yeah, she had no fucking clue what the hell was going on.
They become acquainted.
Eventually,
Yeah,
not immediately.
Yeah, but they do eventually exchange names, and basically after during this meeting, Shu comments about how hungry he is and says croquettes, and for some weird reason, Sarah.
That's why she realizes that he's from the normal world.
Yeah.
Or did they just say America, or was it the normal world? I do remember this part.
Yeah, she was like, "Do you know Earth?" I believe.
Earth, yes.
Like,
that's what she said. Yes.
And do you know America? And he's like, "I'm not very good with geography, but yeah, I do know of America."
Earth, yeah.
And it's like, "So where are you from?" And it's like, "I'm from Japan." And or I don't know if he tells her he's from Japan, but they do introduce each other, and they get familiar. And Shu, she obviously has questions like, "What am I doing here?" and so on and so forth. And Shu tries to assure her that everything will be okay.
Yeah,
that's a theme of his.
He reaffirms her, and that's really most of the episode, right? Like that's most of it. Because up next they got the point where Nabucco comes in. Like, do you want to talk about him? Because Nabucco comes in with Boo after they catch him.
Well, basically after they've been abusing Shu, they've kind of realized that he probably really doesn't have it. So the pendant, that is. And somewhere in between this point, we see Sarah get whisked away. And
is this where Sarah? Oh, is this where? This is where she gets raped, right?
She does, yes.
She gets, yes, okay.
She's
don't frown upon that on this anime. No, she gets raped. And make that. Go ahead and explain. Go ahead and explain the entire environment of this place, because to me it's very it's almost totalitarian, right? They have very few women. The women they do have, they rape. And they want to have as many kids as possible.
Yeah,
one of those characters happens to be the main character, Sarah.
We don't see a lot of women originally. We see a bunch of soldiers, and they're all varying ages. And what's striking is that a lot of them are very, very young.
Yeah.
And the thing that happens with Sarah is that since you see a lot of soldiers, all the soldiers are men, or men or boys, and what else are you supposed to do if you're a tin pot dictator and you have a whole a whole battleship full of guys that have
literally are kids, literally.
Well.
Most
yeah.
well,
yeah. No, you're right. You're right.
But the focus is on the kids.
Yeah, you're right. But in relations to Sarah, you got these guys that they're basically they're doing his bidding, and they got needs. So he's going to take Sarah and use her as a way to satisfy his troops.
His older soldiers.
Right.
Because let's make this clear. In this show, there is very many kid soldiers. Right. And that's why women being raped and having children isn't a problem because that's just more soldiers. Sometimes they lose soldiers. The show is fucked. I'm telling you. Like this show, it's great. Like the ending is great. Trust me. But it is very much specialized on with like almost like a Hitler, almost like a totalitarian thing. Like there's and was his name was what?
Oh, the dictator?
Hamdo.
Yes.
He is Hitler. He is.
Yep.
They like literally like give your example for like say kids come in and they're just soldiers, and then there's another example of just like the adults are normal. That's not existent in this world because they're all soldiers under this guy. And
I mean, we already see what happens to the good guys. We have, who are the good guys so far. We've seen a bunch of bad people doing bad things. The only people we've seen doing good things was we see Shu obviously try to save La Rue,
which he always does. He's always on their side.
We don't really see La Rue do anything in particular good, and we don't see her do anything good. We just see that she needs help, so she's a sympathetic character.
Yes, yeah.
And then you do see Sarah. She tends to Shu's wounds after he's drug into her cell. Even after and then she eventually she knocks him out. But but you see that they build a rapport and they start to talk. Now to show you how evil of a person Hamdo is, as we see the scene of Shu reassuring Sarah that everything will be okay. And by the end of that same episode, we see them both back in the same cell.
Yes.
And Shu has just been tortured. He has just been whipped, and he has just been.
He has been hung out to fucking dry after being whipped. What was it, 10 times? Something fucking crazy.
Yeah, he was basically he was tortured because they wanted to know where the pendant was, and they basically knew they couldn't get the answer out of him for whatever reason, and they threw him back in the cell.
And then after that is when Tabul and the other soldiers start to corner him. And you're a traitor. Like they're basically like, you're not a part of us. But also being a part of anything in this universe.
Well, the reason
is totalitarian.
Well,
he's a slave, basically.
Well, the decision is made after he realized that he doesn't know where the pendant is. Hamdo leaves the decision to Abelia. Abelia decides to enlist him into their ranks of the soldiers, and obviously Shu's not going to be too happy with that at all.
No.
But he's he has guns pointed at him. What else can he do?
Yeah.
And
all those kids, like I said, this universe has lots of kids that are soldiers, but they bully the fuck out of Shu because he's the new guy, but he has different beliefs. But the other thing is that what's his name?
Tabul.
Tabul corners him in a room with all those people, and they all get in trouble. Like, if you do anything in this universe, you get in trouble.
Well, they have, it's a military basically.
Yes,
so
it's very totalitarian.
So you have they took Shu because even though the higher ups did not believe that he didn't know where the pendant was, they needed soldiers. They still, Tabul and his gang still thought that they can get the answer out of Shu, so they were going to.
Well, but why did they add him as a soldier? Because they never made that clear. He ends up becoming a soldier. That, to me, was just because they needed more soldiers, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
I believe in one of those episodes while he's hanging from the tower of Hollywood.
Yeah.
And if I hadn't made it clear, Hollywood is this giant towering tower really, and
it's just a tower. It's a tower,
and just sitting in the middle of nowhere.
For a fucked up world. Let Rusty explain it because it's fucked. Go ahead and explain it before we go on with the plot.
Well, the world that we're introduced to is a world without water, and Hollywood is a giant tower sitting in the middle of a desert, and well, the first people we're introduced to this new world is the people of Hollywood, and they're a bunch of pretty bad guys. So we actually see a battleship come towards Hollywood with the intention of destroying them. Everyone's called to battle stations, and the battleship is going ham. It's destroying things left and right, and but Hamdo brings out his big gun and destroys it in one fell swoop.
And Hamdo is the dude behind all this. He's just tell him. He's a crazy bitch. He's just a crazy fuck.
Yeah, Hamdo's...
Okay, well, this is the episode after Shu joins him. This is the episode where him and freaking Nabuka have a fight. And like a mock battle.
Oh yes.
They have a mock battle, which this might be important more later for Nabuka.
Well, Shu doesn't like being a soldier, obviously, because he had no choice.
He was not into it. He totally did not understand the technique or anything.
It wasn't his choice.
No.
So, and Shu's pretty straightforward. If you see something's wrong, he's going to say it's wrong. He says, I did not sign up for this. Why are you guys making me do it?
He has no choice.
But, hey, not much you can do when you're threatened with death. So, Shu makes do, and, you see him, trying to keep it together. Like, there's a scene where they're all sitting down, and a soldier is giving them a monologue. All the child soldiers, she was among their ranks now. They're all sitting down, listening to this adult, giving them giving them a monologue of all the great things they can do under Hamdo, and how it's great to be a soldier of Hollywood. And you see a lot of the children are very enthralled by what he's saying, and Shu is scribbling away with his stick, and the stick's pretty important.
He was scribbling away.
Shu gets a stick, by the way, and the stick's pretty significant.
This is his fucking primary weapon.
Oh yes.
In most of the show.
Yes, and this stick he uses to basically just that's his problem solver. That stick is his problem solver. It's his weapon. It's his tool. It's just everything. So he's scribbling away as he's listening to this soldier giving a monologue, and you see him prioritize what he needs to do. And it's above all, he needs to look for La Rue in his spare time. So a fight. After the monologue, the soldier asks for 2 volunteers for a mock battle. Nabuka volunteers, obviously, because Nabuka is he's the best fighter they got. So
and all the soldiers under him,
right? Yes. So the adult soldier looks around for his opponent. Tabul expects it to be him because before Shu showed up, Tabul was the runner up. And but Shu's the new guy, so the adult soldier gives he gives Shu the shot at Nabuka, and they fight. And in the fight, it ends up in a draw where Nabuka gets a bloody nose, and
because he used some tactic shit, because he only had a stick. The other guys, the other soldiers. under Hembo, right?
Yeah.
Use a knife, and he just headbutted the fuck out of his nose.
Pretty much, yeah.
Hey, I just headbutted his ass, and they're just like, hey, that's weird.
Yeah.
Just like, we'll fight another day. No, we fucking won't. Because here is where the story goes absolutely fucking crazy. So do you want to explain episode 7? Because after a while, I'm pretty sure that they explain about Boo and his relationship to Shu, because Shu is wanting to revolutionize against these people.
Shu.
What happens in the next episode? Because that's soon, but.
Well, Shu doesn't really want to cause a revolt. He just has enough sense to see that everything.
Well, he does not, but it does happen. It's necessary for the plot.
Yeah, he sees that what's going on is wrong, and he's asking everyone, "What the hell is wrong with all of you? Can't you see that this is clearly wrong?" But no one else can see it because everyone has been indoctrinated, and everyone is already deep enough in the system where. The lone cries of a guy who with common sense won't make a difference. So, Shu is, just going around and saying that, look, guys, this is wrong, and, Nabucco opens up to Shu and says, listen, I know this is wrong, but there's not much we can do. We have the promise from King Hamdo himself that if we do all the bad shit that he wants us to do, we get to go home. And escape is not an option, because if you try to escape, you will get captured, and when you get captured, you're met with a firing squad upon your return.
And to blow up upon that, they make it clear, because this is where Sarah starts to get raped. Mm-hmm. This is where they show the scenes where Sarah is getting raped. And beyond that, it's not really touched upon until way later. So let's just keep that in mind. Sarah has her rape scenes where because Sarah was she wasn't explained very well in this show. Beyond the bad background art, and then Sarah, it wasn't great, but fuck.
Well,
Sarah's shit is fucked all the way through until the end. What do you think about Sarah?
An unfortunate victim of this whole search for Lala Roo. At some point,
very few women.
Yeah, at some point, it's revealed that. Sarah was picked up accidentally, being mistaken for Lala Roo, and she's never returned home. She's just used as a sex slave, and that does something to her. That changes her, and it causes her to do things that no normal, teenage girl would even think of doing.
She has to make big decisions later. And then, like I said, later, this is where they go on the raid to recruit more kids from villages.
Right.
And Shu finally figures out that he's like, no, that's fucking wrong.
Right.
But, is it Nabucco shoots him in the fucking leg.
Oh, actually.
That's the next thing that happens.
Well, actually, we skipped over a pretty big scene where even after Nabucco kind of showed his hand and saying, look, I don't like what I'm doing, but I have to do it to survive.
That is more important before this scene.
Yeah.
And that's very important for what happens later. But continue, yes.
But yes, we see an assassination attempt on Hamdo's life, and in the scene, the assassination fails. Hamdo actually kills one of the assassins, to show that he's a somewhat competent, military guy. But another one escapes, into the bowels of Hollywood. A search, a search party is dispatched to find him, and our group of, Shu's group, led by Nabaka, they happen to go into the room where this assassin is hiding.
Yeah.
And this, this assassin he's fighting for his life, so he grabs one of the child soldiers who happens to be Boo, who's a half pint, he is a very important person to Nabaka. Nabaka is very by the books, but you can see that he clearly has a soft spot for Boo.
Kind of raised him, right? Like he kind of raised him.
Took him under his wing.
Yeah, took him under his wing at least. But like none of these kids are ready for any of this. This entire story is so fucked.
Right. So Nabaka. So this guy, he takes Nabaka. He takes Boo, and he holds him hostage, and Shu, seeing that Boo is held hostage, right at this point, Shu has no allegiances. He just sees somebody with a knife pointing to another person's neck. He's going to try and stop them. So he goes after this guy who's holding Boo hostage. Boo frees himself, and Shu gets back into the fight and tries to fight this guy off, and Nabaka, has a gun in his hand and knocks Shu to the side, shoots the assailant, shoots the assassin, but misses a fatal shot because Shu gets in the way.
Yeah.
And at that point, Nabaka, he just pushes Shu to the side and delivers the fatal blow. Shu
shot to the face.
Shot to the heart. It was a fatal wound, but the shot that killed him was as Shu was trying to save him, stopped the bleeding from his chest.
Yeah.
Nabaka delivers the final nail in the coffin and shoots the man in the head. And Shu obviously reacts to this because he's just a normal kid. He's never seen somebody get killed before, especially before his eyes, especially as he was trying to save the man. And so Shu reacts. He tries to fight Nabaka, and Nabaka pushes him to the side. He sees Nabaka is clearly troubled by the fact that he has to do it, but Shu, once again, after the first episode, we see Shu just say, "Where am I?" in reaction to the setting of, this just a setting, seeing the giant sun and seeing the desert, and he's just wondering where he is. He utters it again, seeing what kind, and he says, "Where am I?" Like, where the hell am I? This time, it seemed that there was more emphasis on,
yes,
what kind of world am I in where a child feels justified and feels that he has to kill another person.
Yes, and is it after this when Sis comes in?
Oh yes,
when she finds Sarah.
Yeah, we skipped over like 6 episodes.
Dude.
Oh wait, no, you're thinking about it. Okay.
No, I'm talking about we covered the first 6.
Oh yeah, so at one
now right up next is where they get into the village and it gets real boring for a while, but it's not boring. It's important later. So go ahead and go over that. But they find Sis in the desert, or Sis finds Sarah in the desert.
Yeah,
and Sarah has an edgelord moment where she cuts off her hair. Fucking go ahead and explain that.
Well, Sarah's getting raped day after day, and she gets fed up with it. So she waits for the right opportunity, and as a guy is preparing to undress to go ahead and rape her again or just have sex, Sarah bursts into action and tries to knock the guy out.
Oh, it doesn't. God, we didn't cover that. My favorite scene.
Yes.
Let me explain it real quick. Sure. Okay. So normally, Sarah was just taking it. Like, she would just unabashedly, in this fucking retarded totalitarian, like, this society, she would get fucked. Like, they would rape the shit out of her. They would throw her in like a gate with a man, and she would get raped. And just take it. Finally, one time, she meets a guy who, he wasn't important, right? But he just kind of was just like, hey, like, I'm not going to just, like, grab you. He just, like, take off your clothes. And no, she took full advantage and fucking fought with him. He tried to scuff her with a fucking rag, and she flipped him over, grabbed his gun, and beat his fucking face in. Beat his face in. I wanted to explain that scene because that is literally my favorite scene in the entire fucking show. That shit was so empowering to me. Fuck you. Fuck everyone who rapes anyone. She killed him. This is my life. Yeah. Fuck you. Sarah was so empowering in that scene. I really felt it. I love that scene.
She had to do it.
She had to do it. That's life or death. It's life or death, or get raped for eternity until something else happens later on. I guess we have to get to. But yeah.
Yeah, but
she, go ahead and keep on going.
After she kills the man, she dons his clothes and she escapes Hollywood. She escapes under the eye of the most vigilant of guards.
Yeah.
And in a scene where she expresses her freedom, she sheds the dead man's clothes off of her body, and she cuts her hair off, and like a Sakura moment from Naruto.
Yeah,
and
absolute Sakura moment. That it was.
And we see her wailing at the top of her lungs as she runs away from that source of pain and misery that she was subjected to. And
well, let's just touch on that a little bit more. It was symbolic and it was emotional, because they did, like you told me before I even watched the show, it was very emotional. She deserved to clean herself of all the shit she just went through.
Oh, yeah.
Sarah was not fucking around.
Right.
Yes. That was a great scene.
Oh, yeah.
And then, so what happened after? So after that, is that when Shu and fucking Lallaroo rolled up into that village?
Yeah, at one point.
Before the storm. Yeah.
Basically,
let's just touch on that and then finish.
Well, basically, before Sarah escaped, she saw the group depart on an expedition. This was after the assassin was killed, and Shu is with Nabaka, and he's wondering where the hell he is. And the scene basically goes off to where Shu is dressed up in full soldier gear, and he's going because he's been ordered to go with the group, and they go on expedition to round up more soldiers, because in the fight with the approaching battleship that was challenged in Hollywood, their big guns that Hamdo had ordered had to they destroyed the battleship, but they also killed a lot of their soldiers in the process. So and that directly led to the infiltration by the assassins. And
let's touch on real quick, like the important part to me is just like Gosek, how I was explaining to you earlier about how like revolts, like have you ever seen Rose of Versailles? Like the 70s anime, like Rose of Versailles, Revolutionary Girl Utena, even just Gosek in general, like themes of anarchism fucking flat out happen in the show. And that's why I got so happy when you showed it to me, because this show does that. There is a revolt, there is a revolution, like fuck you, we are changing this. And
kind of,
in a way, yeah, but at the end they show lots of symbolism to, I guess, was it Abelia? Mm-hmm. Just Abelia, for example, who was a person who followed this guy that we talked about was a dictator for so long.
Yeah.
We could just for the last battle, like I'll just let you finish. Like we'll just go in from there. Like, continue what you were saying, and we'll just go into Abelia, and then what happens? What happens to the main characters? Because the revolt is very prevalent.
Well, to kind of fast track,
Not to fast track. You can just finish the plot. Like, just go for it. Cause
we're seeing scenes of as Sarah sees the group leave. I turn on my hair Siri. As we see Sarah watch the group depart for the expedition. The expedition is to round up more soldiers.
Sure.
And the way they do that is they go into villages, they take all the men and the women and the children, and whoever they leave behind they kill. But also, anyone who resists.
Also, Hellaway also has revolts like like just that story.
Yeah, there's conscientious objectors throughout the show, and Nabucco obviously has problems with doing.
And they built that up very well. Let's make that very clear.
Right.
He had trouble with his I don't want to say PTSD, but he was taken as a kid as everyone else was. Unless they don't know. Nazca, he was taken, and he saw Shu's passion for changing the fucking world, and he was just like, okay, I'm going to let you go. This is a revolution. This is what it is.
He had a soft spot for both Boo, because Boo was, much younger than he was, and he looked out for Boo. He also looked out for Shu, and Shu did save his life during their first encounter, but you could say that Nabucco did see a goodness in Shu that caused him to put up with a lot of Shu's shit, because Shu wasn't an obedient soldier.
No, he was not.
He never carried around a weapon. He never carried around a gun or a knife.
He just had a fucking staff.
He would get into fights with,
fucking snake.
Tabul would constantly fuck with him because Shu would say, I'm never going to fight, and then Tabul would do things like take his water canteen and says, well, if you're not going to fight, you don't need water, because water is for soldiers that fight. And you see this in Impact, Shu, and but Shu's he sees what he's doing is wrong. He knows that there's not much he can really do to stop it immediately, but he will do some things like during their expedition to pick up kids and pick up the villages. There's a scene where Shu releases a bunch of the prisoners that were just taken by Hamdo's soldiers from the Hellaway.
Yeah.
And
he went out of his way.
Yeah, and Nabucco fully justified in he had Nabucco, who's his team leader, had the authority to kill him, but he would always go out of his way. If Shu talked back to a superior officer, he would just knock him on the ground and says sorry for his misdeeds. It's my responsibility. Even up when he released the prisoners, Nabucco trained his gun. Instead of killing Shu with a body shot, he shot his legs out from under him.
He did. Yeah.
And
there's no holds fucking barred in this universe. It really is.
Yeah. So Nabucco put up with a lot of Shu's stuff, but because because it seemed like he saw a goodness in Shu. I don't know if he didn't want Shu to run away, because that would mean if he was captured, he would have to be brought back to a firing squad, and Shu would die as a result. So that leads us to the scene where Shu, after getting shot in the leg by Nabucco, Nabucco has no choice but to tell his superior officer that Shu is an insubordinate soldier, and insubordination leads to death in this world. So Shu is thrown into sewer pit, awaiting death. Tabu is reveling in the fact that Shu's gonna die.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Yeah. So as Shu's sitting there, starving, having his food that Tabu brought thrown to the ground in a pile of shit, and basically just at his lowest point up until this point, he's just wondering, okay.
To me, it went from, because we're about to wrap this up, this entire story went from the most uppity Naruto shonen protagonist
For like 15 minutes, yeah.
Yeah, for 15 minutes. It went from like the most positive fucking, well, and don't get me wrong, he stays positive throughout the show, but it went from that to just the most heartbroken, we have to win kid. This kid was put through so much bullshit just in 13 episodes. Like, everyone was put through bullshit, sure, but Shu, we got attached to his character because he's the character that you don't think will ever care about or feel anything. No, he gets drugged under the gutter, literally, and fucked. Like, this show is fucked, and it's sad.
Yeah. And
it's suicide level bad. Like, there's no hope, but this kid had hope. It's empowering. It really is.
Yeah. The thing with Shu, in this scene, Shu's in his lowest point, and the pendant that was lost is found. It's found hanging from a gutter. And
well, spawn the war after that. Let's just fucking go.
Oh yeah.
Just make it real quick. Let's just the quick synopsis. Here comes the fucking war. Yeah. So the water basically floods the castle, or his just headquarters.
Well, yeah, basically, Shu upon finding the pendant, he gets a second wind, and he gets a helping hand from Boo, who he's young enough to see that everything they're doing is wrong.
Yeah, and he dropped him the stick and his clothes.
Yeah,
when he was in the dungeon full of shit that we were just talking about.
Right. So
go on. He was like, "Fucking do this, kid."
So Shu takes this and he just goes ham. He goes there. He finds Hamdo. He frees. He reunites with Lalaru and shit gets real. Lalaru gets to the point where for the first time ever, we see Lalaru's power. Yes. And Lalaru has the power to manipulate water through this little pendant she has. So they use that opportunity to escape, and in escaping, Shu finds out about Lalaru things that we did not know,
which we never understand through the show.
Yeah.
Like I already explained. Like, her character design is dog shit. She only had 4 speaking lines total in the entire fucking anime within 13 episodes. But who cares? Because she makes up for all of it in this scene. Go ahead and continue.
Well, she
makes it worth it.
Well, she explains why we get the hints that she's not human. And
not the hints. She's just not human.
Yeah.
No, she's literally the only one who's not human. Yeah, to me, at least. I don't know what you think about it.
Because every single thing we see from these characters, displays human attributes. They get shot. They get shot. They get stabbed. They die.
Other than a bitch fucking flowing water out of her pendant, and then she's just not human.
So basically, that's how we see that. Lalaru isn't human because she can manipulate water. No human can do it. And every other character in the show displays very human qualities. Like, they get stabbed, they get shot, they die.
Yeah.
So
and there's lots of deaths in the show.
Oh, yes. So, basically, we see after they escape, they fight a giant tentacle monster. They defeat it. But in the process, we get to learn a little bit about Shu. We get to learn a little bit about Lalaru. We know that Lalaru always doesn't like sunrise. She hates the sun.
Yep.
She doesn't mind the sunset, but we also know that she's very jaded because she's seen people want her
Yes.
for just the fact that she can make water.
Like we said, the problem is every time she uses this pendant for water, she fades. But also, she doesn't get appreciated for it because all of the entire empire trying to capture her, this totalitarian fucking organization, wants her. And either way, she's depleted. Either way, water comes back to Earth. So she's kind of just at the point where she's just like, fuck it. Like, I'll kill myself. Fuck the Earth. Let's kill it all.
She doesn't want to help anybody at this point.
She has no reason to.
But she sees Shu, and she sees Shu doing, and this is like with Nabaka. Nabaka is a good little, dog of the military.
Yeah.
And he does everything he's supposed to, but he keeps letting Shu go.
He does. And he lets him go over and over.
And in the escape scene before they fight the tentacle monster, Nabaka finds Shu and Lalaru as they escape, and she sees them. I mean, he sees them, and you can see that he's reminded of the story of, where if he brings back his comrades after they've escaped, they are met with a firing squad.
Yeah.
So he lets Shu go. Shu wants Nabaka to come with him. Nabaka refuses. So, they escape. They find the tentacle monster. They flee. They fight the tentacle monster. We find out about, a little bit about Lalaru, a little bit about Shu, and they come across a village called Zari Bars.
Yeah, Zari Bars.
And
this is where this story goes fucking downhill. Not in a bad way, but in a very fucked up way.
It's a bad way for all the characters.
It's a bad way for the fucking everything, other than the plot. The plot is great. The show is good, but after this, everything is fucked.
Yeah, we're treated to a delight.
Yeah,
story,
I just want you to explain the first part of it, so I can explain the second. And then I'm going to compare it to Gurren the God after that.
Sure.
Tengen Toppa Gurren the God. So go ahead and go for because Sis ends up getting shot. But there's a lot more that happens before that. Go ahead and start with that. Go ahead and start with that.
Well, when they get to Zari Bars, one of the first people they meet is a little girl named Soon. She's sitting on top of a rock, and Shu asks what she's doing up there. And
her dad was killed earlier, right?
Well, yeah. Basically, she says she's waiting for her dad. Shu asks if she's at work. Shu asks if her dad is at work, and she says yes. So, basically, Shu and Lalaru overhear a conversation going on between a man and another person, and that person we meet is Sis. These guys are upset that they sent some assassins over and they want to do something about Hollywood. And she's like, don't you guys get tired of fighting? Sis, tries to talk them out of, to be more peaceful. Says, don't you guys get tired of fighting? Shu tries to, one of the men punches Sis in the face. Because this this world has no respect for
he's a psychopath.
Yeah,
he will punch anyone in the fucking face. Doesn't matter if it's a girl. No, fuck it.
So,
punch him in the face. No, and I'm not gonna come out and be like weird, but I thought that shit was hilarious. Yeah. It was fucking I was like, oh
yeah,
dramatic tension. And this show is not edgy. That was actually necessary because it put on the fact that this guy's character arc every time he's working is fucking insane. Oh, yeah. And he punches her right in the fucking face. I'm just like, I expected that. It's not weird. It's not battery. I just expected it.
Well,
continue.
Well, Shu, obviously coming from a world where it's bad to punch a woman in the face.
Especially this guy is not. Yeah, and they never really explain that.
Shu jumps to Sis's defense saying, how can you punch an elderly woman in the face? Sis takes exception to that, punches Shu in the head.
Yeah.
And oddly enough, and she explains to Shu, who she's never met, saying these guys are trying to go and start a fight with Hollywood, or trying to get be violent. Don't you think that's wrong? And he's like, well, she was kind of like, well, yeah, I guess, Yeah, Ivan just left Hollywood where he had to do a lot of terrible things.
Oh, shit.
And basically, Sis, she sees them and says, where are you guys from? And do you guys have anywhere to go?
Takes them in. Some Kiki's Delivery Service shit.
Oh, yeah. She's
right here's where it happens. Fat bitch, take me in. Okay. Yeah. That's what happens.
So Sis, she's basically like a mother hen, and she takes all these little orphans, and she basically takes care of them. So, we see just what's going on with, having just escaped Hollywood. Shu and Lalaru are adjusting to this new life of, hey, we're no longer captives anymore. And in the process, we see a few scenes in Hollywood. After we see preparation scenes of Hollywood. In their escape, Lalaru flooded the place with water, and Hamdo's quite chuffed that he has a big reservoir of water now, because even though that wasn't her intention, she flooded the place with water.
That's what he wanted all along.
Right.
Hamdo all he wanted was water,
right.
But he was going to use her. Well, the narrative adds, Shu was like, no, fuck you guys. You guys have done so much wrong.
Right.
I think at this point is where I was like, Lalaru needs to come home. But the right thing will happen.
Yeah.
Now you can continue. That was my opinion. I'll give my opinion after you finish explaining it, because to me that scene was very indicative of how this show should have ended.
Right.
Yeah, like everything.
Well, it brings us to the point where we're seeing this scene. We're seeing the preparation scenes from Hollywood. They have water now, so they can go ahead and start prepping, because this
is where they prep. To fuel the moving fucking fortress.
Yeah, the fortress, all of a sudden, they say, hey, Hollywood can fly. Of course, a giant tower can fly. So,
yeah.
They start prepping, and in the scene, you see these people from Zari bars who are interested in fighting. You see them prepping. They want to enlist Shu, because Shu was from Hollywood, and
he was.
They want people with intel from Hollywood, so they can go and they can basically exact their revenge, and we get to see why, because we are introduced to a character named Alamba, who challenges Shu on all of his morals. You see, because Alamba tells Shu about this horrific story about how his village was completely destroyed, everyone he knew is dead, and his little sister, who was Aylin, was captured by the Hollywood soldiers. And the fact that she was Aylin meant that she was just too much trouble for them to even bring back to Hollywood.
Yep.
So
there's no fucking chance.
So they just dump her on the side of the desert, and she's,
kid, child abuse, rape, and it's very prevalent in this show.
Yeah.
But it is done very tastefully. But this show is still fucked.
Yeah.
Dropping the kid off the side of the road, yeah.
Yeah.
This show does that.
But
it's still great. It's great.
Yeah,
let's get to the fucking ending after this, you're talking about, because I can't wait to talk about that. Go ahead and finish.
Basically Alamba, he's left between hoping that, because when he finds her, animals have already started eating her body, and the best thing he can hope for is that she died of dehydration, and it was a quick death before she was picked apart by animals. And Shu, hearing this, Shu, before this scene happens, Shu is talking with Sis, and Sis explains to Shu what happened to Soon's father. Mm-hmm. She said that he was an assassin sent over to kill Kim Hamdo. And
is this the same scene where Boo dies?
No, that's much later.
Okay.
But basically, we see a realization of Shu. Shu realizes that in the explanation that Sis gives him, Sis says, well, Soon's father went to go kill King Hamdo, and he went to Hollywood. Probably you've seen him. He has 2 tattoos on his wrists, and the man that Shu was trying to save after Nabucco shot him in the chest, with his blood gushing out, was the man with the tattoos on his wrist. And Shu remembers that. So Shu watched the man die.
Guess what happened?
So poor old Shu saw that man die. And
literally right in the fucking head.
And
shot right in the fucking head.
Yeah, dead as a doorknob. And so Shu knows what happened to her, what happened to Soon's father, but he doesn't have the heart to tell anybody. So shortly thereafter, he gets whisked away by Elamba, he tells him that horrific story about what happened to his sister being eaten away by animals. And this is the first time we ever see, despite everything that's happened, this is the first time we ever see, we see Shu cry. Because he
was always so happy-go-lucky.
Yeah.
He was a very, very strong... He was very impressionable. He really was. But at this point, this is where almost like... How did we compare earlier? Like, Hitler in Germany. Like, fucking... This totalitarianism fucked him so deep. Death happened so much that Shu finally... He cracked.
Shu was at his limit.
He was, but he hit his limit.
Yep. You see him. He starts to tear up a little bit before the story of. You see him tear up a little bit before the story of that Elamba tells about his dead sister.
Yeah.
Because Shu's just very upset that he wants Elamba wants to go to Hollywood because Shu knows what's going to happen to him if he does. So he doesn't want more children to be orphaned like Soon.
Yeah.
But, he basically, Elamba demonstrates that his resolve is as strong as Shu's. So Shu is left questioning whether Elamba is right or wrong. Because Shu, being a big brother himself, what would happen if his little sister was taken and something like horrible like that happened? And he would probably want to do something similar, like go find the bastard who did it and kill him. So so Shu's left with a conundrum. I think he's right, but I also think he's wrong. And this fucked up. So this conflict,
damn war.
Yeah. So this conflict within Shu is just, it basically breaks him. So and basically, the next episode is what leads to what Land Anime wants to talk about.
Yep, it's episode 13. Fucking man.
Well, we gotta get to the point. We get to the 13. Basically, a soldier. Episode 11 or 12. A soldier shows up and he's like, "Okay, please take me in. I'm behind dehydration." And Hamdell's lost his mind. So everyone buys into it and says, "Okay, Hamdell lost his mind. Now's the time to strike back." But apparently, the soldier here,
this isn't explained very well either, or executed well at all, because he fucking triggers for Hamto's. He submits them to come get.
Yeah, he signals because he has
Zadi bars.
Yeah, he basically
and he does that. And what he does later, I don't care about, because it's a very little thing. And I told you about this while we were watching it, because like I said, Russell's seen this several times and he loves it. I didn't really care about that part, but yes, he does that. I don't really think it's worth mentioning, because fuck it. Yeah. But okay, so what did you think about episode 12, right before the ship goes down? Because episode 13 is where it's all fucked. Why I wanted to compare it to Tengen Toppa and Lagan in just one simple way. You can't compare it in one simple way because it's so interesting. It's so different from it.
Well, episode 12, we lose. Let's see, who do we lose? We lost
Sarah.
No, Sarah's still alive.
Well, Sarah keeps all the kids in the last episode.
basically,
we
at
lost
one
Sis, we lost Soon, we lost Boo.
Yeah,
We lost Boo, and then did Nautica die?
Yeah,
Nautica. Okay, he's already dead. Okay.
Well,
I guess it's really.
well, we're glazing over a lot of stuff, but basically what at episode 12 we're met with a conundrum because basically up until a certain point, the soldier comes in and then he signals Hollywood. So now Hollywood knows where to find Zaribar. So Hollywood is now mobile; it can fly.
Yeah.
So Hollywood is on its way, and basically during episode 12, Hollywood arrives and Hollywood starts waging war on Zaribars. In the process of the Hamdo orders an execution of every one of Hazaribars.
Yes.
So that's women, children, everybody.
Everybody.
So
at that point, like literally.
So Nabucco, being a good soldier, he's carrying out the order, but at this point, he runs into Shu, and he has a gun pointed at Shu. Shu's surrounded by a bunch of children that that were taken care of by Sis, because Sis pleaded with Shu to save them.
Yeah.
So Shu is there, and Nabucco runs into Shu. He tells Shu to get out of the way. I'm going to kill these kids. Still looking out for Shu even to this point. He says, "Listen, get out of the way. I don't want to shoot you. I want to shoot the kid. That's my order."
Yeah.
Boo, being the sense of reason, says, "Look, Nabucco, we need to stop this. I'm not going to do it anymore." He drops his gun. Nabucco orders Boo to pick his gun up. Nabucco's like, Boo tells him, "No, I don't want to do it anymore."
Yeah. This is where it gets fucked.
Yeah.
Okay, so Boo drops it.
And we see soon Nabucco goes on an inexplicable Nabucco goes on an inexplicable no, we get insight into Nabucco's state of mind and why he's able to justify killing kids.
Yes,
because he goes into, he says, the reason we need to kill these people because everyone in this village is associated with the assassin that tried to kill King Hamdo.
Yeah.
And Soon hears that. So Soon, knowing that her Soon knowing that her father was an assassin, went to Hollywood. She knows that now. She knows her dad is dead,
and that's why she grabs the gun.
And she has a gun.
And cue the next scene.
She points
it. It's fucked.
She points it at Nabucco. She pulls the trigger.
Boo takes the bullet.
Mm-hmm.
And oh my god.
Nabucco reflexively whips around,
shoots, kills her. Kills Soon. Kills Soon. The little girl. Like I said, I'm not super into her character, but shit. There goes Soon. And then what else? Like, fucking right after that, Shu is a mess.
Yeah, Shu's done.
Shu's done. Yeah, this show's, it's dramatic. It's fucked. And then after that, cue the ending where Abiela drowns.
Well, basically
there's some more shit, but
yeah, basically we see some scenes where basically we glaze over two big major points, but it's a lot to talk about. But basically, long story short, from all the raping that was happening, Sarah got pregnant.
Oh yes, she was pregnant, and I thought we already touched on that. Sis died. And she took over her kids. I thought we were
that happens in episode 13 because after
that's the season finale.
After Boo dies and Soon dies, Shu loses it, goes after Nabucco, but he still remembers his morals. He doesn't shoot Nabucco. He shoots the ground and throws his gun. Goes on the ground, starts wailing, and Taboo comes in conveniently and says, and says like, okay, we're gonna go.
The Bakugo of the series.
Shit. Talking about edgelord. He basically
edgelord as fuck. Yeah.
Yeah, basically he, he's like, okay, well, we're gonna go ahead and kill everyone. But before he gets a chance to kill the kids and Shu, they get an order from on high saying, "Listen, stop the killing. We're going to go ahead and take the rest of the people as hostages and slaves." So we're now treated to everyone in the jail cell, and Sis is there, and she is bleeding out, and Sarah is trying to tend to her wounds, but it's too late, and Sis tells Sarah that the world's fucked up and everything, a lot of bad things have happened to you, but don't take it out on the kid.
Yeah, and, don't, word for word.
Yeah.
Don't take that out on your kids.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, as to my unpopular opinion, that's retarded. Because I was hoping the entire movie that she would just abort it. Right. But no, she's going to have the kid, and also she's going to take care of all of Sis's fucking children. Yeah. That's the outcome.
Yeah.
You like that. I don't like. Okay, I think that's dumb as fuck, but I'm proud of her for doing it.
She's a very strong woman for a 13-year-old. So
I guess, yeah.
So she basically, Sis dies in her arms.
Yeah.
And
fucking Sarah went from having the best scene in the entire fucking anime, beating the dude's face in after about being raped for the third time in the fucking anime, which by the way is dark, to this, and that's where I kind of fell off from her. But it's still added to the anime. I really like the environment of it. But anyways, continue. Yeah.
No, but at the very end, Nabucca is feeling the strain of Nabucca is feeling.
It's time to turn. Yeah, revolution is ringing.
Yep.
In the air.
And Nabucca, he's distraught because now Boo, his little buddy, he's dead. Yes. And Tabul, he gets Nabucca and he says, "Come with me, Nabucca." Nabucca goes with him for no reason because Nabucca's kind of like, okay, Boo's dead and I got nothing else. And it's like, so Tabul reveals to Nabucca his master plan of run Hollywood, because Tabul and Nabucca were taken from the same village as children.
Yeah.
And Nabucca's like, what the hell are you talking about? Why would you rule Hollywood? King Hamdo gave us his word that we would be released after the war. And as far as we know, Zaribar was destroyed, and that should have technically been the end of the war. But in Hamdo's mind, the whole world is the enemy.
Yeah, so, they show several scenes of just him killing other villages, and then also recruiting just kids from them, or just, what did they mention? I think I already said this earlier, like just 12 girls, they just rape them, and they rape them and have more kids, and more kids is more power. But they still kill other villages. So the philosophy is correct. That's what they do. Yeah, they have to stop them.
So basically, Nabucco's under the impression that look, we did what we needed to do. Zaribar is no more. We gotta go home, Tabul. Tabul's like, you idiot. Don't you see? Our village has already been destroyed. There's nothing to go back to.
Yeah, there's nothing to go back to. Yeah, there's not. Nowhere.
So, Nabucco, upon realizing this, he's broken because Boo's dead. He doesn't really have much fight in him left anymore. And, he just tells Tabul, you're crazy.
Yeah.
Tabul takes exception to that and shoots Nabucco. And
here's the jail cell.
Yep. And Nabucco's last
gripping the jail cell. Yeah. His last fucking words.
Nabucco's last act was to get Shu back his little stick that was very central to his character, and he grabs Shu by the jacket, and he looks at him in his eye, and he says, "Go back to where you came from. That's where you belong." and
which is the entire message
Yep.
of all of this revolution.
Yeah. So Nabaka dies, and
he's dead.
And Shu, if you can turn Super Saiyan, he would have. But but
yeah, he goes so fuck off mode in this fucking episode. Yeah.
But at that point, he basically just he goes and he frees himself from the jail cell. He goes after Lala Ru. In the process, he gets a bunch of soldiers coming after him, trying to go for his head. Yeah. And Lala Ru, at this point, because after she's seen the whole entire village get wiped out on her behalf, she's kind of sitting there saying, God, well, I did see people kill themselves over and over again. Because Lala Ru revealed to Sis before she died that she's lived tens of thousands of years of times that Sis has been alive.
Like
Sis is probably
this is why she has no emotion.
Yeah, she's
despite, like I said, her shitty character design. That part is so much more fucking fascinating.
Yeah. So Lala Ru is not human, clearly.
No.
So
the only one in the entire anime, by the way, who is not human.
Right.
Made very clear.
So basically, we see her, and she's she sees that even despite everything, she hears noises. They hear gunshots. They look up, and she sees Shu fighting still after all the bad shit that's happened.
All this shit, he's still there
to try and save her.
It's empowering.
So basically, Lala Ru says, "Okay, never mind about my life force," because she was very conservative about using her water reserves. She's only used it in a few moments, and like I said, with Shu turning Super Saiyan, she basically, if she was a Saiyan, she would do it too.
Yeah, well, this is where the Gur and the God shit comes in.
Oh yeah,
this is where the Nia Tiplin shit comes in.
I'll let you take over if you want.
Okay, well, so basically, she was just like, well, I could use the rest of my life force, right? This pendant, my life force doesn't matter. They explained it throughout the entire anime, but it floods both shit, and she just disappears. If you want to describe that better, you can.
Well, yeah, you pretty much said it. Basically,
it's just like a happy ending, kinda. Like it's just
basically, Lala Ru, she uses water to basically flood, like in their escape
just
attempt.
Flood the fucking earth. She had no purpose anyways in the anime. Like, I barely enjoyed her in general, but like, it's still a very powerful thing. Like, the only person that had any opportunity to do this, she let herself go. Yeah. She sacrificed herself, and the world has water. What's his face fucking died.
Hamdo,
yeah. Hamdo's dead. Hamdo's dead. It's over.
Yeah, basically, as she's flooding the Hollywood, and the Hollywood's still in midair. As she's flooding Hollywood, things go awry, and
Hamdo, they do, but that's just between all the characters that are just gonna die anyways.
Yeah, Hamdo, seeing that his tower is about to get destroyed, he comes up with this brilliant idea of using the transporter system that they used to grab Shu and they used to grab Sarah to whisk him away away from his but from his crashing tower.
Yeah.
So he's like, Abelia, please come. I have a wonderful idea. Transport me to any place other than here. Mm-hmm. It's great, But Abelia,
she turns on it. She's been beaten. She's been fucking absorbed in this dumbass's plan the entire time. Yeah, we've already explained why his plan is dumb as fuck.
Yeah, we're glazing over some things here and there.
Yeah, we're just glazing over some shit that's important, but fuck this guy.
Yeah, but long story short, he gets what he deserves. He waged this whole entire war for water, and he got it in copious amounts, and ended up killing him.
Yep, he got it in copious amounts, and it was important, but at the same time, I don't know how I feel about fucking Lala Ru, because she barely talked in the show, but it was good. Either way, the entire thing was interesting. I said, Rusty, you love this show, don't you?
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
You made me love it. I hate some of the characters. I hate some of the plot points, but I love the entire show. And we just talked about it. So, from Landiname here, and
Rusty.
Big Rusty.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you for listening.
All right,
We'll see you guys next time.